I was sitting here eating my dinner and I realized it's been quite a while since I posted a video. And one of my loyal subscribers out of my 105 said that I should post something. And as I was eating my Greek salad, I thought, you know what? I have a few things on my mind. So let's get started, shall we? An interesting thing happened this morning. I was at home thinking about what the plan of attack was for that day. I've been working for myself for the last couple of months, or at least attempting to, which is very hard. And I was having one of those days where I just was not feeling the energy. I was starting to get really frustrated. I was thinking about the fact that it's Euro summer and I kind of don't really have the freedom and the capacity that I'd like to do all the things that I see other people doing right now. And I could feel myself getting into that loop of woe is me, which I really don't like because, let's be honest, I'm in Athens, Greece. It's summer. Like, woe is not me. Anyway, as I started getting a little hormonal and emotional, about to, go into that self-pitying hole, I took out my laptop, opened up Squarespace, and said to myself, you could feel sorry for yourself, or you could do the things that you're avoiding that would actually make you feel really good about yourself in the long term. And that is what I did. Begrudgingly, I opened up my laptop, I opened up Squarespace, which I'd been playing around with for the last couple months, and I sat down and painstakingly tried to make a website. It wasn't easy. There were so many moments where I would get up, walk away, come back, watch a YouTube video, start scrolling, do all of the procrastination type things that you do when you're trying to avoid doing the thing that you know you need to do. But I persisted. And the more that I started doing it, the more I got over that initial hump that we all face when we're doing something that feels kind of foreign to us. The more that I realized I was a lot more capable than what I thought I was. I'm not a builder of websites, and I know Squarespace is kind of basic in the sense that you see everyone always talking about it, and it's one of the, go-to websites for people like myself who are not coders or what have you. But the point about it is that it takes time. It takes a lot of effort. It takes wrapping your head around something that might otherwise be new to you. So often, I think, when we're trying to cross the hurdle, cross new frontiers of, who we believed that we were to who we want to be, we get in our own way because we don't see the possibilities. More to the point, we don't see how possible it is to actually do the things that we want to do. Going back to what I said, when we get stuck in that initial phase and we're unable to go across to the next phase, you never end up finding out what that could have felt like because you keep going back to that feeling. You keep going back to that mentality of self-pitying and that victim mindset, for lack of a better word. And I say this as someone who I've been there. I've been there for most of my life. And I guess it wasn't until that moment this morning where I stopped myself from going down that spiral and actually did something proactive for a change that I realized it's not the fact that I can't do things, it's the fact that I don't know what it is that I'm actually capable of. We will employ so many strategies, whether it's procrastination, whether it's negative self-talk, to stop ourselves from just crossing over that threshold. By continuing to go in that loop and in that cycle, though, you kind of further feed into those limited beliefs and you further perpetuate the narrative that, I can't, or it's too hard, or, you know what, there are people out there who just have that thing, that naturally, whatever it may be, that skill, that mindset, that drive, where they can do it. But for me, there's always something stopping me. Once you actually start doing the thing that you're scared of, whether it's building a Squarespace website, whether it's making the content that you want to make. And I know I often use that as an example, but I think for a lot of people, that fear of being seen stops us from doing a lot of things. You realize that it's actually not that hard, and the hardest thing is actually in the starting. For me, my biggest form of procrastination is in the dreaming and is in the planning. Like, I realize with this new project that I'm doing, which is what the website was for in part, I had spent like a good week planning and mentally psyching myself up to the fact that I knew I needed to plan for a certain amount of time before I could begin. It wasn't until I finished all of the planning and I stuck my calendar on the wall and I made this little presentation for myself with all these key dates and milestones and what have you, that I was like, you know what? The only reason this was helpful was because it delayed me, and it made me feel comforted by the fact that I didn't have to start this until a week later after I'd done all this so-called needed planning. Granted, sometimes you will need to maybe have some kind of a map for what's ahead, or you'll need to kind of mark things out to make it a bit clearer. More often than not, though, we just do all that stuff. We just stay in the visioning because we're scared to actually like do the thing. This year has truly been very transformational for me because it forced me to be in a position where it wasn't enough to just talk about the things that I wanted to do. Like, I actually had to start doing them. I can't articulate how terrifying that is for someone who has constantly and continuously gotten in their own way. But you know what? Today was one of the many milestones of this year for me that just showed me you just don't know what it is that you can achieve and what it is that is inside of you. And you won't know unless you give yourself that opportunity. Listen, it does not matter, as I've come to find, if you have to start and stop and start and stop and rationalize with your monkey mind and all those things. As long as you keep trying and you go like a little bit further than what you had the previous attempt, then that is progress. And that is the beautiful form of proof that you'll be able to look back on and say to yourself, I did it. I finished something. I got further than I had the time before. Trust me, from experience, as I figured out this morning, it is so gratifying to know that even if you don't feel like doing something, and even if you're just not in the mood, as I was telling myself today, you don't have to be defined by those thoughts, those feelings, the moods that you're in. There can be something inside of you that you haven't tapped into that you can use in those moments to go a little bit further. Trust me, as someone who has gone through every kind of thing you could possibly imagine, and as I've documented on this channel, from PMDD to mental health issues and what have you, I've had so many things in my tool belt to reach into when I've not felt like doing something. And because I know that has worked in the past when it comes to my own rationale, I know that I have my own form of justification to stop myself from excelling and getting to the next stage. There comes this moment, and I'll just conclude the video on this though, when you just really well and truly have to get like the heck out of your own way, and you almost get sick and tired of the excuses. I guess this is the point that I came to this morning, and I wanted to sit down and film this as I'm eating my dinner on a random Tuesday evening because I think there are so many incredibly gifted, talented, special, amazing people in this world, and you're probably one of them watching this right now. And you probably too have a whole bunch of excuses ready to go, ready to use, ready to justify when it comes to not doing the thing that you actually really want to start. And I do not care if it is not content creation. I don't care if it's something that is so niche and so random, like the more random the better, in fact. If it makes you happy and it's something that you think about mostly every day, constantly, what are you doing watching me for? Stop procrastinating. Stop making yourself feel guilty for not doing it, and actually see what would happen if you began today. I'm not going to give you like a list of like 1, 2, 3, follow these steps, because I really feel like you have the answers and you know what to do. So my question to you as I conclude this video is, what are you going to do today? Are you going to keep talking about it, or are you going to surprise yourself and are you actually going to do it? If I'm sitting here telling you that I've done it, then it means that you can too. So that's all I want to say. I'll get out of your face and your feed for now. But yeah, that's it. You're a lot more capable than what you give yourself credit for.